Today morning, somebody forwarded me a photograph on WhatsApp which showed Swami Vivekananda playing cricket. And the caption read that this photograph was taken of Swami Vivekananda when he was playing cricket at the Eden Garden Stadium in Calcutta. Now, this photograph is obviously morphed, and this has been proven by the fact-checking website boomlive.in. They have shown that the original photograph is that of the cricketer Headley Verity, and what people have done is they have removed Headley Verity's face and pasted Swami Vivekananda's face instead. Now, the original photograph of Headley Verity was actually clicked in the 1940s, and the claim is made along with this morphed image of Swami Vivekananda that this is Swami Vivekananda playing cricket in 1884. So nearly 55 years before the actual photograph was clicked, the claim is being made that this photograph was taken then, So this is the kind of falsehood that is being spread all in the name of Swami Vivekananda. People know that Swami Vivekananda is a famous personality. Many disciples hold him in great regard, in great reverence, and so they find that it is an easy way to get Twitter clicks and likes on Instagram and Facebook and come into the limelight. So today, there is no sacredness left, just to come in the limelight, just to get likes and clicks on Twitter, we will distort even, what is the most sacred to us, what should be the most sacred to us, we will go and distort that. So today, morality is in a severe decline. Today, we are okay lying in the name of Swami Vivekananda also. We are okay lying in his name just to get a few likes and clicks. A very similar incident also occurred with the American actor George Clooney. I was just reading an article which I found on Twitter where he has given an interview with the Sunday Times of London, and he has recounted that 3 years ago he was in a very bad motorcycle crash. He was driving his motorcycle at very high speed and he rammed into a car. And obviously, when he was laying prone on the ground, the only thought that came into his mind was that this is the last moment of my life. This is when the lights are going to go off. And in that moment, when he was actually facing death, he saw a group of people gather around him. And instead of helping him, instead of sympathizing with him, instead of giving him, some, like some words of comfort, what they were doing was that they were circling around him, they were gathered around him, and they were clicking photographs. And he realized that what they were going to do is that they were going to post these photographs on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and hope that they will go viral. Obviously, they would have gone viral, and these people would have become famous. Perhaps they would have got money out of it also. So this is what these people were doing. And in that moment, George Clooney thinks that, you know what, my death is just a piece of entertainment for these people. They are so devoid of empathy and sympathy that they don't care whether I live or die, but they want to get that photograph so that it can be made to go viral. So this is the level of depravity, of hollowness, of shallowness to which we as a society have fallen. This is like now a global phenomena. We no longer care for righteousness, for honesty, for goodness. We no longer care for these things. We only care for getting our way, for getting our work done. As long as we can make money out of the situation, as long as we can get fame, as long as that image can go viral, we don't care whether the person lives or dies. We don't care whether we have distorted the historical perspective of Swami Vivekananda. We have no caring on those fronts. We just want to achieve our narrow, egoistic, and selfish aim. Now here, I'd like to make another important point, which is that many people in India today feel that Hinduism will be preserved by building temples, that Hindu culture, our Sanskriti, will be preserved by building temples. But what is needed is actually not the building of temples, but the building of character, of moral character. In Vedic times, there were actually no temples. And you can see that in those times, our Sanskriti produced so many rishis, so many people of such an exalted spiritual and moral stature. And the work that they did was so phenomenal that it influences us even today. Even today, thousands of years after the Vedic period, we are still reading what they had written, what they had said, what words were spoken by them. Today too, we hold those words sacred. And you contrast that with the times today. Today, in the neighborhood that I live in Mumbai, there are at least 10 temples within a 2 kilometer radius. And you can see how many rishis is our Sanskriti producing. I mean, you guys know the answer. It's almost zero. So a culture is preserved not by buildings and monuments and temples. It is preserved by strength of character. When we have people who are upright, who are morally courageous, who are truthful, who are honest, who are compassionate, empathetic, then our culture is preserved. Just by building temples, we are not going to be able to preserve Hinduism. Coming back to the picture of Swami Vivekananda, obviously we can conclude that the person who made this picture, this morphed image of Swami Vivekananda, he was obviously in a depraved state of mind. His state of consciousness was obviously not very high. But then the question arises, it's one thing to make a photograph, okay? But then there is this other set of people who have actually made it go viral, who are forwarding it to their friends and family, thinking that this is actually the truth. What does it say about their state of mind? So these people exist in a deep state of ignorance that they do not even know, how Swami Vivekananda lived, what kind of a difficult life he had, the sacrifices that he had made, and the probability that he would be playing cricket is in that way is just almost zero. Because if you look at the caption of this image, it says that this image was taken in the year 1884. In the year 1884, right in the beginning of the year, in February, Swami Vivekananda lost his father. His father died suddenly, and Swami Vivekananda's family was plunged into chaos. He himself says that his family was actually quite well off. Before his father passed away, he had his family was quite well off. But once his father died, they were plunged into poverty. I'll just read out to you the quote of Swami Vivekananda himself, where he has described this period. Swamiji has said, "My father died and we were left poor. Oh, very poor, almost starving all the time. I was the only hope of the family, the only one who could do anything to help them. I had to stand between my two worlds. On one hand, I would have to see my mother and brother starve unto death, and on the other, I had believed that Sri Ramakrishna's ideas were for the good of India and the world, and had to be preached and worked out. And so the fight went on in my mind for days and months." So what Swami Vivekananda is saying is that when his father passed away in February of 1884, he was plunged into chaos. He was in such a horrible state, he was in such a horrible dilemma because he was the eldest member of his family. So he had to actually, on one hand, try to provide for his family because they were on the brink of starvation. There were many days, Swami Vivekananda has written, when he would not eat food. He would not eat food because there was not enough food in the house for his younger brothers and sisters and for his mother. So he would pretend that he had already eaten. He would tell his mother, "Oh, I ate food at my friend's place, so I'm not going to have dinner tonight." And there were many days that Swami Vivekananda went hungry in 1884. This went on for months, and he had this pressure to provide for his family on one hand, and so he went and looked for jobs, but he never found any. And on the other hand, he had already become a disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, and he was wanting to take on sannyas so that he could spread the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and Vedanta into the world. India needed to be awakened. the moral standing of India, the moral nature, the courage, the bravery to struggle for freedom had to be awakened. And where were those emotions going to come from? They actually came from Vedanta. They came from the work that Swami Vivekananda did. Many people do not realize this, but freedom was not got just by a couple of freedom fighters in India. A whole nation stood up, a whole nation, everybody turned into a freedom fighter, and their inspiration was from the ideals of Vedanta, which Swami Vivekananda spread. That was the work that he did, for which he sacrificed his whole life. And we don't realize his sacrifice. We don't hold it sacred anymore by spreading this kind of falsehood about him. It would be so much better if we spread truth about what he has done for us. So this was the dilemma that Swami Vivekananda faced in 1884. And where would he have the time in the midst of this massive crisis in his life to go and play cricket? So even, from the historical perspective, this photograph is totally false. And this dilemma of Swami Vivekananda was actually resolved by Sri Ramakrishna. And what he told Swamiji was, after Swamiji struggled and struggled and struggled, and he would go and cry to Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna told him that you go to the Kali temple and you put your problem before Mother and she will give you the solution. So he went to the temple 3 times. And in all 3 times, he never told the Divine Mother his problem. The Divine Mother actually appeared before him. She actually appeared before him. She was not in the idol. She was in her form, her subtle or physical form. She appeared before him as a live person. And when Mother appeared, he could not talk about his family because he felt like his family problem was so small that he just could not discuss it with Mother. So he just asked Mother for love and bhakti. And then he came back to Sri Ramakrishna, and Sri Ramakrishna asked him, did you ask Mother what, about your family? Did you ask her about, taking care of your family, or what should you do? And Swamiji said that he could not bring himself to ask that question. So Sri Ramakrishna then gave Swamiji a boon, and he said, okay, since you're so committed to the path of Vedanta and to the path of the divine, I'm giving you this boon that your family will have enough to eat and they'll have enough to live a simple life. And that actually came true. When Swami Vivekananda became a monk, there were instances where, his disciples or those who, his devotees, they came to know of his mother's poverty or his family's poverty, and they used to send money, a monthly allowance to his mother, so that she and Swamiji's brothers and sisters could live a simple existence. So this is the story of Swami Vivekananda, which needs to be told, not the morphed images, the falsehood, and the lies that are being spread about him, but we should spread inspiring things about him, because he was such a great, inspiring person. He was a great, great rishi. And 1 ounce of truth of his teachings can just transform so many people's lives. You just read one thing of Swami Vivekananda, you read one chapter of his writings or his speeches, and your life will be transformed. So we should spread truth and not falsehood. So to all my brothers and sisters out there who are passionate about saving Hindu culture, I would like to request all of you to fight very hard to counter the false information and distortions that are being spread about great rishis such as Swami Vivekananda. We owe it to the future generations of Indians to pass on to them the true and correct knowledge, the pure knowledge of not only the teachings of Swami Vivekananda, but also his life and struggles. We don't want our children, our future generations, to inherit more photographs and false information about Swami Vivekananda. We don't want them to think that in 1884 he was playing cricket and enjoying himself, when in reality, in 1884, he went through the most horrific struggle in his life and actually came out of it successful. So there are lessons to learn from not only Swami Vivekananda's teachings but also his amazing life. He had a really difficult life which many people don't know. And whenever we face problems, you can draw inspiration from Swamiji's life. So we don't want to cut out people from the source. When we spread falsehood and false information, you're actually severing people's connection to the divine source, which is Swami Vivekananda. So we want people to establish a connection with Swami Vivekananda. And for that, you need to spread truth about him and his life. So bring in the light of knowledge and let us do away with ignorance. Let us educate not only ourselves but also our friends and family about Swami Vivekananda, his life and his teachings. And one of the ways in which you can do this is by visiting the Spiritual Bees website as well as our YouTube channel. Another way in which you can acquaint yourself with not only the teachings of Swami Vivekananda but other great rishis such as Sri Aurobindo, Mother, Swami Sivananda, Paramhans Yogananda, Pandit Sri Ram Sharma Acharya. Another way in which you can acquaint yourself with the teachings of all these great rishis who have preserved and boosted Hindu culture throughout the world is if you subscribe to our Daily Quote broadcast via WhatsApp or Telegram or Instagram. On WhatsApp and Telegram, in addition to sharing the daily quote, I also sometimes provide explanations around the quotes, and I also provide you with the latest posts and the videos that have been released. On Instagram, we just have purely a quotes broadcast, but on WhatsApp and Telegram, you can get these other pieces of information as well. So go ahead and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video.